Hello again, good evening. It's Ghana, West Africa, so it's GMT, Greenwich. Thank you so much, as always, for taking time to join us. Thank you so much for taking time to be a part of these great sessions, these great times of interaction. What we talk about is that you and I, as human beings in our common humanity, all of us, in spite of gender, color, skin pigmentation, geography, race, language, whatever language we speak, wherever we are, geography, all of us, each one of us is endowed and blessed by our Creator with this software within us, with this potential within us to be game changers, to be change makers, to be difference makers who can make our world a better place. After studying Singapore, I want to take a look at how they incorporated some entrepreneurial leadership values in their strive for excellent development. Singapore is a country widely known for its economy and resources. Today, Singapore has become a sustainable city with clean air and a clean living environment, a great supply of water, and beautiful green spaces. That is Singapore. What many people overlook, however, is the fact that no good thing springs out of nowhere. In efforts to provide employment for their people, the leaders of Singapore began to experiment with globalization. They knew they had to depend on the developed world and convince multinational corporations to manufacture their goods in Singapore. In order to attract investors, Singapore had to create an environment that was safe. In order to achieve this, the citizens, now it's great to start with holding people. You've given authority to govern you. It's great to hold them accountable. And really, that's where all roads lead. But truly, it does not begin and end only there. True transformational change is also the citizenry. So in Singapore's successful model, the citizens had to give up a large measure of their freedom, and thus their leadership bordered on autocracy. That means there was some kind of enforcement of law, enforcement of rules, enforcement of some strict do's and don'ts, because you need that. Singapore's model is saying that if you want to be successful, it is not enough to just appeal to people and to encourage people and to inspire people. You must also enforce some laws. You must also insist that people do the right thing. And that means there must be punishment, there must be punitive action. Of course, with restoring people, there must be consequences for actions, for choices. So they demonstrated that Singapore demonstrated the entrepreneurial value of change of mindset. They realized that if they wanted to make a difference in their lives, they had to do something different. They had to do something new. By the year 1972, just 7 years after their independence, 1/4 of Singapore's manufacturing firms were either foreign-owned or joint venture companies, and both the United States and Japan were major investors. That's by 1972. As a result of Singapore's steady climate, favorable investment conditions, the country's gross domestic GDP experienced annual double-digit growth, and this was the result of their actions. Now, as foreign investment money poured in, Singapore began focusing on developing its human resources in addition to its infrastructure. They did not just build roads and build skyscrapers and build buildings and build the city. They did not just build brick and mortar. They focused on people and their values. People and their values. Two negative attitudes I'm told that Singapore used to have way before they came into development was the people had this lifestyle, this habit of spitting around. They spat quite a bit, and they didn't like living on high-rise buildings. They would live sometimes with their cattle and so on and so forth. Now, from the beginning of the Singapore story, we are told that two nations, the US and Japan, wanted to pour in investment. Now, there's no way these two nations would have poured in this amount of investment had they not seen the potential of a people and a nation and a society who are making the efforts to transform and to change from spitting and from living with cattle and this kind of lifestyle. There's no way these nations would have poured in the investment had they not known this and had this faith. I can guarantee you that Singapore would never have become the nation, the great Singapore it has become today, which is still rising. They saw themselves as a big part of a bigger world. And so what they did was to learn the best practices, the best values, the best case studies to learn the values of how America became the America, Japan became the Japan, and so on and so forth. I know there are arguments to be made in the conversation of examining the case study of nations who became great on the back of slavery and doing some bad things to rob people of their resources and so on and so forth. Now, that conversation is definitely there to be had. However, there are those nations who did not rise into transformational change on the backs of such negative values. There are those nations who rode to the prime of true advancement on the back of just sheer hard work, but hard work that begins with inculcating values of transformational change, leadership values, entrepreneurial values in their people. Any nation who has become what they are, including Singapore, we are studying and looking at. This is how they came to the destination of transformational change. They inculcated entrepreneurial leadership values. Some of them are attitudes that care for the environment, attitudes that say, let my life serve a larger purpose than me, a greater purpose than me. That means the society is bigger than me, the nation is bigger than me. So therefore, my actions, my attitudes, my mindset is important for me to consider. Does it enhance? Does it promote? Does it drive progress? Or does it diminish and eventually just destroy society for all of us? These are questions Singapore had to ask. And their leaders at that time, Lee Kuan Yew, bless his soul, he with his government and leadership enforced and pushed and said, we have a certain goal, we have a certain destination, we have a certain vision. There's a place we want Singapore to finally arrive at. And so therefore, in order to get there, this is what we have to do, and everybody has to comply. So there was an appeal, but there was also enforcement. Ghana and Nigeria, and as we say, from Cairo to Cape Town, from Senegal to Somalia, Africa, we have no excuse whatsoever. Young people, we have no excuse whatsoever, especially for shouting at governments if we ourselves too don't understand that the heavy responsibility of citizenship is as critical and is as crucial as holding the people you've elected to govern you accountable. You and I too cannot destroy our environment and do things whose actions destroy our society. We too cannot ignore that and make it a one-sided journey. And I'm not in any way advocating that let's not hold leaders we put in office accountable, but I'm saying it goes hand in hand with holding yourself accountable. It's called citizenship. We're going to continue next week, and I want to thank you so very much. Please like, subscribe, share, and have a great evening. Have a great rest of the week wherever you are, and meet again next week, Thursday. Many blessings.